when she's not in heat and she doesn't have her installs, Lidia is actually pretty fucking reasonable. So we're gonna do her classic bullshit, right? She's got a fuck ton of garbage moves. Horse stance 1, after forward forward 2. This is a classic sequence that everybody needs to know how to deal with. Horse stance 2. Horse stance 3. Horse stance 4. Horse stance 1 plus 2. Horse stance 3 plus 4. Let's try 4-4-2 into block. So that's it. That's all she's got. She's got essentially 7 options. 7 options from horse stance. One of them is just holding block after she does a +5 on block move. Oh yeah, she can jump back, but that still loses to dick jab. What's the jump again? There we go. Okay, so jump back, and that's all she's got. So she's got technically 8 options. One of them is just block, one of them is jumping back, one of them, all the other 6 are attacks, right? So this is a full Lidia sequence with forward, forward 2. First of all, forward, forward 2 can be sidestepped either direction, okay? So we know that for a fact. And then she's fucking vulnerable for 20 years after. You can do whatever the hell you want. And it doesn't need to be a sidewalk. Look at that. Tiniest sidestep. Either direction. Reasonable counterplay. If you block this move, first bit of counterplay I like to try every time I'm labbing a character is, can you dick jab it? You can't dick jab that. That gives you a guaranteed heat engager if you're Lidia. Dick jab is beating everything. Dick jab is covering all of my options except for that one. Horse stance 3 is the only thing dick jab loses to, and if she does the power crush, then she's double fucked. Look at that, punish. I got a punish for dick jabbing, and as she did the power crush. She did horse stance 1, which is the power crush, and if I stay ducking, I can get a full launch. So if you're Kazuya here, commit to the duck. If you block this move and you don't think she's gonna do horse stance 1, do a dick jab, commit to the duck, and if you see the power crush, get your fucking full punish. This is all guaranteed. Okay? The bullshit comes when she's in heat. There really isn't a whole lot of counterplay when she's in heat. The only time it's reasonable to say that she's got counterplay in heat is if she's transitioning into heaven and earth stance manually, you can throw. But even then, heaven and earth auto parries everything, so you have to throw. When she's +6 or more, you can't really move, you can't really attack, you can't power crush, you can't do anything, you can't duck unless you want to die to the mids. She's really fucking scary in heat. Lidia, with 3 installs and heat, is arguably the best character in the game. She is so fucking insanely broken with hardly any counterplay. But when she has no installs and she's not in heat, she's very reasonable. This is some of the best shit she can do, and it's all beaten with a fucking simple dick jab. There's not much she can do. There really isn't. She gets 1 attack she's dead if you do that. But look at this. Every option she has. Everything. Even horse stance 2. She's dead. Horse stance 1. She's dead. For some reason they gave her horse 3, but I guess she needed it. She does need it. Of course she needs it. I don't like Lidia, but I think she absolutely needs... That's layer 3 counterplay, right? So if her layer 1 is to 4-4-2 into stance, and my layer 2 to beat out her stance options is to dick jab, then she needs a layer 3 option to beat out my layer 2, right? Everybody, that's how Tekken works. You have to have that. Her layer 3, he's dick jabbing every option I have. What the fuck do I do? I can try to, block. I can maybe jump away. But I'm still, it's essentially just resetting the neutral. I want to retain those plus frames. I want my plus frames back. I'm trying to take my turn here, bitch. Right? His dick jab is beating out every fucking option I've got. So I gotta have my layer 3. She's gotta have her layer 3. That's That's the counterplay to my counterplay. And that's Tekken, and it's more than fair. You can't get mad at that. In that sense, regular jab, you think that's layer 4. Okay, my layer 2 lost to her layer 3. So I'm gonna layer 4 right now. Boom, layer 4. And she's dead. Layer 4 and she's dead. You get a dick jab for being right and she gets to launch you. Yeah, but it's still reasonable counterplay because you get her off her ass. She doesn't get to launch you. And it's not a launch. She gets a free heat engage. It's not a launch. It's still scary, but it's reasonable. If it was a launch, that would be iffy. I would agree with you. Her heat is totally brain dead. It's true. Sure, she is. I'd say Lidia has the best heat in the game, bar none. There's really no argument there because you really don't get to have a turn when she's in heat. It's just the case. You can try to, you can duck her unblockable. Cool. That's good. That's some counterplay. You can block until she runs out of heat, but then you're losing all your health to chip damage. It's still some counterplay, so just blocking her all fucking day. She can still hell sweep you, she can still unblockable you, but you have options to just run out the clock, right? You can try sidestepping, and it does beat out a couple of her heat attacks with the mids, but you have to know what the frames are. You can't sidestep shit if you just blocked her heat smash, for example, because she's plus 10 in Heaven and Earth stance, and it's 100% her turn. She gets to dictate what happens next. So you have to just take it. But that's heat smashes. As a rule, that's kind of the case for every heat smash in the game. The offender gets to dictate what happens next after the defender blocks the heat smash. Political Storm is a heat launcher, plus she gets to be in heat. Well, if she's in heat, yeah, she can launch you with Political Storm. But I just mean it's a guaranteed heat engager when she's not in heat. And again, there's layer 4 counterplay to beat that out. So you do have an option to beat her. Now her layer 5 to that would be this. She's gonna high crush my jab. I'm trying to layer 4 her out of her fucking horse stance mix up, but she's got a layer 5 attack that can then beat out my jab and counter hit launch me, right? So she does have options. But I also have there's also other layers to that too. You can sidestep, well, I guess you can't sidestep this move. You can always duck and launch it. Minus 18 on block, so everybody in the game can launch this low. Even Asuka launches this, and she's got an 18 frame launcher from while standing. So minus 18 low. This fucking low, did you guys know that? This low is minus 18. This little fucking low is minus 1 on hit, and doesn't do shit unless you counter hit them. It's minus 18 on block. That's pretty fair. She dies if I fucking block this shit and punish her properly. Right? So, does back 1 plus 2 beat horse 3? No. No, it does not. It absolutely does not. Kazuya has the worst backswing blow in the game. No, you die. But again, this is reasonable counterplay. A couple of things I missed here while I was on stream. I'm recording this separately here. Just wanted to note a couple of things about Lidia's stance here when going into Heaven and Earth stance, the scary stance. She does have multiple moves that are manually putting her into stance that you have to hold up if you're the Lidia player to go into Heaven and Earth stance when she's in heat. And then there's other moves that she has that are automatically transitioning into Heaven and Earth stance, which makes those moves a little scarier. There's less counterplay to those moves, but the counterplay to the manual transition moves, we'll go over that right now. So, starting off with the 442 Heaven and Earth. So, this is a manual transition for Lidia, right? 442, now the player has to hold up to go into Heaven and Earth, and when they do that, you can then go for your throw. Anytime you see this, you can even attempt a late throw. You're either going to get a counter hit, throw, or you're just going to grab her in the stance because the stance is an auto parry. It makes it so that it's basically the same effect as a power crush. Or you just block the rage art because it's an armor status. It's a parry status. It's a something that retains your turn. You get a free throw attempt, and then Lidia's kind of fucked. So what other moves does she have from here? So this is cat stance, holding up manually. So cat stance is done by holding back 3 or pressing back 3 plus 4 for the Lidia player, and then holding up and to go to Heaven and Earth stance. And Lidia's doing her thing, right? So cat stance, manual transition. You can grab her out of this. If you're quick, you're paying enough attention, you get a counter hit throw at least. If you're really fast and you're observant about this, then you can potentially just get the throw and make it a power crush effect again. So, throwing is the optimal defense in this when it comes to this stance and when it comes to manually transitioning for the Lidia player. You can also try a low. Lows beat out Heaven and Earth as well. You can try a counter hit low if you have something like that. That's always a decent option if you see her doing something like this. Counter hit low is your best friend if you have a low that's decent enough to do that for you. So, you know, but I recommend just going for a throw for the majority of characters out there. The other one is hop kick. Whenever she's in heat, just punish hop kick with a throw. I know it's tempting to just immediately go for a jab punish, but then she fucks you up with Heaven and Earth stance and you die. So she can parry everything that's a high or mid in this stance. So you're just dead, right? You don't want to do that because if she's at 3 installs and she hits you with Heaven and Earth 2, you get wall splat from half the fucking screen and you definitely die. That's like a 125 damage combo that the Lidia player could do with the wall pretty frickin' easily, actually. So it's not hard for her to do that. So your best bet in this scenario, when she does a hop kick, just go for a throw punish, and the time that you note in your head when to go for that specific punish instead of your typical jab or your typical, 12 frame or 13 frame punish, you want to go for your throw when she's in heat. Okay? So throw punish, it's very easy to determine that. You know, she can't auto parry your shit when she's not in heat. So you can punish it regularly when she's not in heat. But when she is in heat, you have to go for a throw punish. Next move she's got in this that automatically transitions into Heaven and Earth, or manually transitions into Heaven and Earth is Cat 1+2. Okay, so Cat 1+2, which also puts her in a stalking wolf stance after you block it, but then you can grab, it's almost easier in this sense, because she's hella manually transitioning. You got all fucking day to confirm this. So Cat 1+2 switches to Stalking Wolf, and then she holds up and manually transitions into Heaven and Earth. So the manual transitions, as you can all see here right now, it's not just about holding block all day. You can actually kick her ass out of this fucking stance. Just throw her. That's the best option. Okay, next up, what else we got? I think Cat 4? Yeah, Cat 4. So even if you eat this thing, it's +8 on hit for her, and she still is susceptible to a throw if she manually transitions. You know, she can hit you out of... I'm sick right now, guys, so sorry if my voice sucks ass at the moment. She can hit you out of attempting to throw by doing something from Stalking Wolf stance. But you're still, most of the time if the Lidia player's in heat, you're going to want to go for Heaven and Earth transitions a lot of the time. So, and especially at a +8 hitting low, I mean, that's a pretty damn good position for any character to be in. So it's just the fact that her stance transition takes so long for Lidia that you can actually squeeze in a throw attempt and you're reasonably safe. You do have to worry about her Stalking Wolf follow-ups, but it's still really decent counterplay for Heaven and Earth. Next up we have 2-2, which is a -12 on block move typically, right? Because keep in mind that, universally speaking, this is how it is for every character. Say they recover from back turned. If it's a back turn stance that the character just blocked, or say they did a move and now they're back turned, like Lily's down 4, 3+4. That's -4 on block. On paper, it's -4 on block. But technically, it's -10 because she can't actually block by holding back in that stance of back turn for 6 extra frames after the frame data of the move. So -4 on block means -10 if she recovers back turn. She can crouch and beat out your jab that way. So best thing to do against like Lily's down 4 3+4 would be a dick jab. So extra 6 frames. But if you're talking about other stances like this one here, going into cat stance, because the cat stance is which is what you saw right before she transitioned into Heaven and Earth there. Cat stance on block makes this move, since it automatically transitions 2-2 into cat stance, Makes 2/2 minus 12 on block. So, she's going into cat, and I ate that string. And I can still throw her. Because she's still minus quite, like she's basically minus 12 after you block the 2/2. So, her transitioning into heaven and earth can save her from stuff like this. Like jabs, and kicks and shit. Even big ass kicks like forward, forward 3 there. And down forward 2. See? She ate my electric, no fucking problem. So what's the best thing you do here? Again, just throw her. Even if you eat the fucking string, you can still throw her. Now here's the other thing. Down forward 2. Down forward 2 is a pretty good move. It's typically minus 8 on block, so it's a safe attack. But now with Heaven and Earth stance, you can't really do anything after this. She's neutral, it says, but because, like I said, stance transitions take 8 frames. She can't block for 8 frames after she goes into a stance. Same with every other character. If a move puts them in stance, in order for them to block, which means just hold back from that stance, it takes 8 frames for the stance to be exited, and then the character is able to block. So that's a universal rule in Tekken. 8 frames after hitting a move, putting the character in a stance, and then them trying to block afterwards. So just add 8 frames of punishment, potential punishment, on top of the frame data that you see if the move that you're looking for to defend against leaves the character in stance. Okay, very important shit to know. Everything is beaten up. All the manual transitions are beaten up by throws. These are pretty much all the moves that you're going to look for. Even forward forward 2 is probably Lydia's best attack. I'd still say it's her best move. And forward forward 2, you're minus 5, and she's still able. I think you can even get hit by this. You can get hit by this, and she's doing her fastest move from Heaven and Earth stance, and it's still. I'm still getting a counter hit throw. She's able to break the throw because I've got her mashing 2 to try to throw out the Heaven and Earth 2. But regardless, even if you eat this move, you still get a throw attempt. So honestly, when she's in heat and she's not doing the automatic transition moves that leave her at heavily plus, and she's automatically in Heaven and Earth, that's when you need to be worried. And there's a lot less counterplay involved in those attacks. But these manual transitions, which we've gone over now, hop kick, manual cat stance 1+2, cat stance 4, 2/2, down forward 2, and forward forward 2. That's 7 moves. We got 7 moves altogether that Lidia can do that put her into Heaven and Earth stance manually by holding up once the move connects, either on block or even if it's on whiff or on hit, doesn't matter. So those 7 moves. So get those fucking moves drilled into your brain. Rewind this video if you have to, and you'll be able to figure that out, no problem. So those are 7 moves. She's also got 4, from what I can tell, 4 moves that she can do that are scarier than those ones we just talked about because they auto-transition in Heaven and Earth, and that makes this stance a lot more difficult to deal with. So let's go over those now. So the first move that I want to go over that's an automatic transition into Heaven and Earth stance that makes it a scary attack is the 1+2 string that she has here. Not the string, but the 1+2 attack that she has. Now this is a pretty slow attack to come out, but it's plus on block no matter what the transition is. So Lidia can charge it however long she wants. She can just let it rip, or she can charge it a little bit, as you see there, which is plus 10 on block. When she charges it a little bit, and then when she charges it to the max, it's plus 15 on block and does a ton of fucking damage. So there's the plus 10 transition. It's basically the same thing as like Bakuman's guard break mechanic. He can choose to let it rip, he can choose to charge it halfway, he can choose to charge it all the way. Tricky move to deal with, but no matter what, you can always try to hit her out of it if you see that she's going for the charged up one. But regardless, if you do block this attack, you really can't do anything. If you block this, you can try to sidestep it too, but it's not really reasonable to try to sidestep. shit's got a lot of tracking. You just don't know when she's gonna let it rip either. So your best option here is just to block and then block again. I can't even dick jab here. I am trying to power crush. I can't even power crush. She's way too plus, even when she's doing the regular one. At plus 15, you're just screwed. That's plus 10. There's no way I could do that. No way I can do anything about that. I can power crush when she just lets it rip. That's the only type of aggressive counterplay that you can do as the defender in that scenario. So the 1+2 automatic transition into Heaven and Earth with Lidia is very scary. But it's also a bit of a risk to her, because if she charges the attack, she is susceptible to counter hit, right? So she just let it rip there, but now I get a counter hit launch, right? She's charging it here, I can counter hit her here. You know, it's scary for the Lidia player. So she has to just kind of let it rip if she wants this shit to land a lot of the time. But whether you block the attack or whether you block the one that she just lets it rip, or you block the other versions, it makes no difference. You do not get a throw attempt for this. The best you can get is a jab if she lets it rip, or potentially a power crush if she just lets it rip. But of the two other charged versions, the semi-charged and the full charge, you don't get anything. You can't step, you can't move, you can't attack, you can't power crush, you can't punch parry, you can't do any of that shit. You can't rage art, none of that. Nothing is available to you. If she charges it even a little bit, and she's at that plus 10, you have to block. That's the only option you can do. You can try to maybe duck and see if she's going to do the unblockable after you've blocked the 1+2 charge from Lidia. Once she's in Heaven and Earth, if you want to risk your life, typically that's all you can do is guess. Either she's going to hit you with the unblockable, or she's going to hit you with a plus unblocked mid that does chip damage. It's a gamble in that sense. So the trade-off there is you have to play aggressively against the Lidia player when you see her charging 1+2 a lot. Sidestepping it is kind of out of the question, like I said. Just let her charge the 1+2 and block after. That's all you can do, or interrupt her as she's charging 1+2. Very tricky move to beat, extremely aggressive for Lidia players, and when she has 3 installs, this shit becomes almost unbearable. This is the type of shit that there really is no counterplay to. You have to just, yes, you can interrupt her, but that's pretty much it. That's virtually the only kind of counterplay. The classic throw shit after you block the move, just it doesn't work. So you can see I'm not even able. You can see the throw coming out when she just lets it rip. I get my throw attempt when she lets it rip. You don't even see the throw come out when she does the semi-charge one, or when she does the full charge one. I can't even move. So you don't even see Kazuya do an animation there. So it's varying degrees of difficult to deal with horse shit. And it's a lot to think about, because you're thinking about the other 7 moves we just talked about that are manually transitioned into Heaven and Earth. All of those you can throw her for free. It's fine. You can even get hit by the attack and still end up getting that throw attempt. So the manual transition attacks that she has to Heaven and Earth are very fair and have a lot of counterplay to them, as far as, well, not a lot, but reasonable counterplay. You can throw her out of any of those options. Or you can just block. There's always that too. The next one we're going to talk about is while running 1. This is a +5 on block high attack, so you can always duck the move if you think it's coming, and then you can always get your punish. A lot of Lidia players do this move on a regular basis and just fucking, it's their thing. But if you do end up eating this move because you're afraid of, ducking forward 4-2, for example, that sucks. To duck that, you can also sidestep it. It's quite linear. You can sidestep either direction, and you don't even have to worry about the step. It's very, very lenient in that sense, right? So running 1 has multiple ways to beat it. But if you block this move, you're at her mercy again. You can dick jab. Oh, no, you can't. Never mind. I'm an idiot. You can't dick jab her out of this. You can't throw attempt. Trying to dick jab here. What about power crush? Power crush works, but I still take major damage there. I can't see how that's worth it. To me, if I'm taking that much damage for blocking the while running 1 and then blocking the follow-up, I still risk eating the unblockable here, right? And the unblockable goes through armor, except for rage arts. What you can do, what I like to try to do if I eat this, I like to sidestep right duck. Sidestep right duck beats every option she has. Even the Heaven and Earth 1. So Heaven and Earth 1 is the -11 mid launcher. But again, it's Heaven and Earth 1 is -11, so you can punish it on block. If you do see that she does that shit, you can still punish her for it. But instead of trying to go for that shit, I just like to sidestep right duck against this type of string. So while running 1 for Lidia, sidestep right duck. You just block this shit, sidestep right duck. I threw in all of the moves that she has that I've Heaven and Earth for this stance, so we can see exactly what if there is viable counterplay to this. So she's constantly doing the Heaven and Earth 2, Heaven and Earth 1 there. Where's the unblockable? I want to see that unblockable, it's scary. You do have to buffer your sidestep, so remember that buffering sidesteps exists because of Season 2. She has not done the unblockable yet. There's the unblockable. It's fast, so you do have to be quick with the sidestep right duck. Yeah, she can catch it quite easily with the unblockable here, so there you go. If you're very quick, you don't have to do a big sidestep. Just buffer it, do a tiny one, and then immediately duck. There you go. So the unblockable is tricky because it is basically a pseudo homing move. You can't sidestep that shit at all. It can catch you here. But sidestep right duck does beat every option. As long as you see what she's gonna do first, don't mash into her shit. Sidestep right duck is quite a big fucking sidestep. Look at that, it's just the tiniest sidestep. The tiniest sidestep. So, you're beating out her 2 mid options at least, guaranteed. The unblockable, she has to go for the unblockable to get you to stop this type of counterplay, right? And even then, the unblockable still gets beaten by this. I don't know why she's not doing it much. So the unblockable can beat it out. But you can still beat it out if you don't over sidestep. Just do your tiniest sidestep at the right time. You have to get the timing for this, but it is possible. Sidestep right duck does beat it. I was too slow for my with my duck there. Sidestep right duck. So there you go. You do have viable counterplay for a running 1, but that is very, very tricky, and the unblockable can clip you a fuck ton, as we just saw there. It's all about perfect timing. You have to perfectly time your sidestep right. It has to be a very tiny sidestep right. Good luck if you're using the Bears or Jack, or even Claudio or Raven, who have really shit sidesteps. I don't know if they can sidestep this, but Kazuya can, Lee can, and they have garbage sidesteps. So if I can sidestep this shit with Kazuya, you probably don't have a problem with your character, unless you play the Bears or Jack. Their sidesteps are like non-existent. So if they can sidestep right duck Lydia's sequence there, then I'd be surprised. But that's the price you pay for playing a big character, I guess. But every other character in the game can sidestep right duck that sequence, no questions asked. You just have to be conscious of that and be aware of that, and don't be playing too aggressively. So if you're not going to sidestep right duck, then she does get this mix-up for free. You can try to dick jab here, but then you lose to that power crush, and you lose to the 2 as well. So dick jab's not going to work. It's only going to beat out the unblockable. Why would you want to do that, right? So there is nothing that you can do in that instance except for either block or sidestep right duck after the while running 1. The other one I want to talk about is stalking wolf stance 1+2. Now the part about this sequence that makes it balanced for me, in my opinion, is stalking wolf takes time to get into. You can't just transition into stalking wolf stance by yourself if you're Lidia. You have to do it from a move. So in this sense, we're going to enter a horse stance manually, which you can also do from forward 2. But in this instance, you can try to throw her out of this. As soon as you see that, say she connects with forward 2, right? You can throw her out of it before she connects with you. This stalking wolf stance 1+2. But as soon as that stalking wolf 1+2 hits you, that double fist attack there, as soon as that hits you on block, then you are forced to take the mix-up. You're on -10, and she's got an auto parry stance going in her favor now with Heaven and Earth. So there is, again, no fucking real counterplay to this, just like the 1+2 charge mechanics. She's +10. There's nothing you can do. +10 or more, you're fucked. Even +6, there's not a whole lot you can do when you're against Lidia in this stance. That's why while running one being +5, you still have counterplay to that one, and that's the one that a lot of players are going to use more often than not to try to get into Heaven and Earth stance. So sidestep right duck is an extremely, extremely important thing to note for when you do end up blocking while running one. So I hope that helps. But yeah, the only thing you can do against Stalking Wolf 1+2 is just block. If you block the move, if she does this and you block that, you are at her mercy. You can't do anything. Don't try to move. Don't try to power crush. I just tried to power crush there and she counter hit me. Like, it's just not, it's not going to happen. So either interrupt her out of the Stalking Wolf attempt, you know, do something that's scary, that's going to make her not want to, you know, input her 1+2. You can always do a counter hit move to get her out of that stance. But as soon as you block that, you're fucked. And of course, the last one I want to talk about is the Heat Smash. If you block this, her heat is gone, but she still gets one more mix-up in Heaven and Earth, and you can't do anything. You can't move, you can't interrupt. It's a Heat Smash, so, I mean, that's kind of obvious. Who tries to press buttons after Heat Smashes anyways? You can't even do a parry. So don't bother attempting any of that shit, okay? She's just gonna fucking kill you. So, really, the manual transitions into Heaven and Earth are the 7 moves we discussed initially. She's got another 4 moves on top of that in Heat that auto-transition into Heaven and Earth. The auto-transition stances are, you know, the counterplay is few and far between. Yes, she really doesn't have any counterplay for those stances aside from interrupt her before she gets into those sequences. So, is that counterplay? I mean, you tell me. I think she's pretty fucking unreasonable in that sense. There really isn't a lot of counterplay in that sense. It's a lot more mind games between the two players, and you're gonna get caught in those moves a lot more often than you think. Even players at the highest level get fucked up by that shit. For manual 1+2 for her, Stalking Wolf stance 1+2, and Heat Smash, the other moves that auto transition into Heaven and Earth. Yeah, pretty much no counterplay. Just block and hope she doesn't do the unblockable. That's just how that works, unfortunately. For the manual transitions into stance, though, throw all fucking day. Don't do anything but throw. Just fucking throw. Or you can try to go for a counter hit low, but most of the time those are pretty slow, so I would just try to go for a throw instead. Unless you're really, unless you're Lee or something. Down 3 with Lee, like, you're gonna catch her with a lot of that shit. The manual transition stance from into Heaven and Earth, all those moves that she can do that manually transition into Heaven and Earth, Lee's down 3 will kill her every time. So very, very sick move for Lee players, Rejoice Lee players, but most other characters in the game, yeah, you just kind of have to throw her out of anything she tries to do. So, oh, that helps. What? You want an option select for her entire move list? Like what? You think you want like a jab check to just beat everything she can do? Like, come on. That's not reasonable at all. It's never really easy, but the complaining is getting bad. The complaining is much worse right now than the character balance. And the character balance is trash. There are characters in this game that lack counterplay, lack reasonable counterplay.